All right, Dwayne Nash here, live from the heart of the resistance. So we're witnessing the fallout of Trump dementia on a massive scale. The lying mainstream media. Lying by omission is more often what they do. Trying to justify their existence. And their gullible followers, the walking left. And why they took hook, line, and sinker the Russian narrative, which has fallen apart right in front of our eyes. Keep in mind, this is the corporate media. They have their own agenda. They're not an independent news information outlet. And they look at the SJW, the resistance, the boomer generation as their bread and butter audience, and they play up to their hopes, dreams, and fears. And that is exactly what happened. So what I want to do here is illuminate three very basic, principled, and practical reasons why an independent observer would know that the Russian scenario was a farce. And let's start off with Donald Trump himself, his personality. As many on the left will say, he is without shame, doesn't mind being embarrassed or, acting a fool in public to a point. And, I can agree with that to an extent. But this should give you reason to pause. Why would Trump be embarrassed by a P-tape via the Steele dossier? He most likely would say, hey, put it out there. I don't care. Make some money off it. Make it a pay-per-view. I'll P galore. He would not be embarrassed by some P-tape at this point. Remember, this is a man who kind of alluded to being attracted to his daughter. So look at the sum total here of things. The second thing, personality-wise, Donald Trump, is that he doesn't want to be perceived as weak or under the thumb of anyone else. And that would include Mr. Putin. So why would someone who basically demolished the Republican establishment and is sending the Democratic Party into a death spiral, why would he agree to being under the thumb of Putin? We're the bigger, stronger nation. Makes no sense. And a third very practical reason why an independent observer who cut out their emotional biases could see that the Russian collusion story had some big holes in it. And as far as I know, this was never played upon by the mainstream media or even Fox, is that Russia is a petrol state. Putin and his cronies depend on, their gas exports for a lot of their wealth. And what has occurred in the United States since Donald took office is that America is a net petrol gas exporter. We don't need foreign energy via gas, fossil fuels coming in. So if Donald was under the thumb of Putin, why would he move the country in a way that diminishes the economic clout of the petrol state of Russia? Makes no sense. So those three very important and practical observations should cause anyone to come to, even without this, even without the Mueller probe, to really question this narrative. Donald Trump has little to no shame. He doesn't want to appear weak or under the thumb of any other people or persons or entities. And he's made America a net petrol exporter. So those are three very foundational things for why a lot of people, even before the Mueller thing came out, and I was trying to warn friends and family, hey, you're coming in for a letdown. It's You keep doing this to yourself. And my main likability for Donald is one of action, in that he is probably the most useful tool in destroying the Democrat Party at this point. And what this channel is about, and what, if you're new to me, is I'm kind of a stepping stone. If you're getting red pilled, if you're losing faith in the Democrats, I was there once, and I wanted to see Trump sent to the gallows, just like most everyone else around me, especially here in California. I now, however, want to see the Democrat Party sent to the gallows for complete and utter destruction. They need to go. They serve no purpose. We don't need them. The only kind of issue that I want to retrieve and steal away from the Democrats is environmentalism. Nature, being out in nature, animals, plants. And that's what my primary focus on this channel will be about, is a strategy to, as I said in my last video, paint the Green Deal red. A conservative approach to environmentalism, to bring back our soils, our birds, our native species, our insects, connect our tracts of land, and in the process, make us healthier and happier, and foundationally, who we really were, and an issue the Conservative Party, the Republican Party, used to hold dearly until it got politicized. Somewhere between Reagan and Clinton, Al Gore was probably the central figure in making the environment a chiefly Democrat issue. That wasn't always the case. Richard Nixon, Endangered Species Act, Clean Water and Air Act, Theodore Roosevelt, big proponent of environmentalism, national parks, often dubbed America's greatest idea. So the conservative movement, the Republicans, they need to take this issue back. And in doing so, you'll see red pilling on a map, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of people ready to jump. Only thing holding them back is kind of the anti-environmental stance, perceived or real, or how much is there of what they grew up with, the Republicans and whatnot. So what this channel is about is a strategy basically based around a reverse homesteading movement, where people are moving away from the cities, getting back on the land, growing their own food, making their own clothing. It's not a turn back in time. It's looking back to move forward. People said the industrial sector wasn't going to come back. They said it would never come back. People have long assumed that farming as a chief economic sector, usually about less than 1% of the working population involved in farming in America. I think we could bump that up to 5-10% even. And I think that all we would need is about 5 to 10% of the urban population to spread out across the rural landscape. And in doing so, they would naturally lean more towards Republican small government values, because they're making their own stuff now. In kind of a mixed economy, it's kind of a techno-agrarian vision I have. And I've touched upon this, and this will be a major theme of this channel going forward. I see a lot of channels on YouTube, but a lot of them are just kind of cultural war and kind of not kind of solutions based, just kind of critiquing different parties and players. And so, I'll leave the cultural war stuff to other people, and this will be about, this reverse homesteading, implying a lot of aspects of permaculture, and really bringing people back to the earth where they're invested themselves in having the clean air, the clean water, you know, healthy insect populations, healthy bird populations, putting large animals, large mammals back on the landscape. You know, here in California, we got the grizzly bear as our state motto. Not a single grizzly bear living in this state. So getting these large mammals back and really approaching, I always say, global warming, climate change you can't stop, global warming, as far as the anthropogenic, the human input. I'm not a doomsday person saying we only got 12 years left, but I do think that we're pumping CO2 in the air. It's a known greenhouse gas. In conjunction with, you know, alternative energy sources, sun, wind, and solar, I think a very practical solution is simply putting more carbon back into the earth, you know, via composting, via kelp mulching, taking carbon out of the ocean. What's over there? It's kind of overcast today. Which is the best fertilizer, putting the kelp back in the land, back in the soil, making America's soil great again, getting all those micronutrients back in there. So now you're sucking carbon out of the ocean, putting it back in the soil, growing the best food, the best hemp, the best wood, the best marijuana via macroalgae, via kelp. And that is very practical and actionable, you know, solution to our soil. We'll be healthier in the long run too. We'll get our micronutrients into. And the reverse homestead movement is a very actionable plan where both state and federal government incentives could get people to move out of the urban centers where many of us, myself included, had not been able to purchase land. And so some combination of state and federal incentives saying, hey, here's your 4 acres. You know, you use the best practices for some permacultural themes, and you know, incentivize people either on existing farms to come in there and live on the land, and in that way you move people away from the urban centers. You solve the issue of housing, where people are just paying outrageous sums of money for apartments or whatever, and not, you know, you solve a lot of problems at once. So I'll dive more into this in future videos, but until then, have a good rest of your day. Like this video, share it. Dislike this video if you are a TDS sufferer with parameciums on the brain. Bye-bye.